Say hey, everyone. Welcome into another edition of Say Hey Plays. My name is Jose Bouquett. Alongside me is my guy, Spin Doc, as he joins us every Monday for this season. Doc playing some golf over there. Minnesota weather's feeling great. The Twins are good. Minnesota is looking up for Minnesota right now.
I mean, in May, when it comes playoff time for the Twins, then we'll check.
They'll play the Yankees, and we'll know what happens.
Yeah. I'm just become accustomed to it as being a Minnesota sports fan. So we'll enjoy it for now, but come the postseason, then that's usually where it falls apart.
Well, I hope that actually, as of right now, the Yankees wouldn't even make the playoffs, so it'd be a real shame. I actually need to do my standings updates, everyone. Let me refresh real quick. I don't want to give anyone bad information about our lovely standings. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to break it to everyone again, but the New York Yankees are still, in fact, in last place. The last place New York Yankees. You hate to see that. I don't want to bring people that information, Doc, but if I have to, I will.
No. I mean, hey, it's a factual statement.
It's
a factual statement.
Thank you. That's the facts only on this program. Thank you.
I mean, Oakland's in last too, but they're not nearly as fun to talk about being last as the other one. So
That's true. We can just say, Doc, here's just a random assortment of last place teams. The Colorado Rockies, the Washington Nationals, the Oakland A's, Kansas City Royals, the Yankees.
Yeah.
And we can mention the Cardinals too. The Cardinals are also really bad.
They are.
What do all those teams have in common? Last place. It's just funny. It's just funny to point these things out. So it's very nice to talk to you, Doc, as always. We've got a 10-game card here. Or actually 11-game card here coming up. And it's going to be fun to talk about. Shout out to everyone watching. As always, hit the like button while you guys are here. Comment if you are a subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, why aren't you? Subscribe already, please and thanks. Let's get into it, Doc. First of all, let's talk about your Detroit Tigers versus the Cleveland Guardians. I was about to call them the I words. Almost did it there, but I have not. Really, it's tough to bet on Cleveland most of the times because we all know what kind of team they are, especially because beginning of the season they were red hot offensively for some reason. We don't even know what happened then, but they came out red hot. And now they've obviously cooled off, and they've become the team that we all kind of know them as a really good pitching team. They'll get on base somehow, steal some bases now that we have bigger bases, but they're not going to hit for power. They're not going to impress you guys any offensive numbers. Tanner Bibby, I always want to call him, or no, Tanner Bibby. I want to call him Bibby.
Yeah.
I want to call him Bibby. I call him Bibby in my head every time, but it's Bibby. Tanner Bibby. And it's very funny. I've caught myself like 6 times just thinking about him, and I call him Tanner Bibby every time, and it's funny. But yeah, I really had nothing in this game, Doc. It's minus 195 for a Guardians team that's not really playing that well. I mean, honestly, again, if I'm picking a side here, it's pretty easily Detroit just because they've been playing surprisingly well. I mean, what can you say about these Detroit Tigers at the end of the day? They're in 3rd place, which no one thought they were going to be doing. They're 6-4. That's the best record in that division the last 10, 6-4, which is hilarious. Tigers are pass for me, honestly. I like Bibby a lot, but and I don't like Joey Wentz, but just the price just keeps me off of this game. So, yeah. What about you, Doc?
Yeah, nothing for me either. I think that if you wanted to have something on this game, I would look Cleveland first 5 at minus 1.5. But even still, minus 1.5 is only a plus 112. That's just not a lot of value there. So really, I'd be trying to just have action to have action. I don't really believe in that. From a strikeout prop perspective, I crossed Wentz off my list pretty quickly. Now, the Guardians have been striking out more than you would think. They're not as high of a contact team as they were last year, but they typically only strike out a lot to high strikeout pitchers, to guys that can make guys swing and miss and whiff. That's not really who Wentz is. So I think that his 4.5, I expected this. I expected the books to say 4.5 to open with the with the over at plus money and the under heavily juiced. That is very, very correct. And then on the other side, Bybee just missed being on my VIP card for his over. So if you want to read anything into that, like I said, he just missed being on my over card for VIP. I don't mind his number at 5.5 for this one. The Tigers obviously have been striking out like crazy, 27.4% to right-handed pitchers. And Bybee does not walk anybody. And like when I say he doesn't walk anybody, like sometimes for pitchers, we say like, he walks like a guy every other couple games. Like he literally doesn't walk anybody. Like none, zero so far this year. That's not going to continue for the full season. But when you're going against a team that only walks 7.4% of the time against right-handed pitchers over the last 15 days, not very good. Not very good. So for me, the only thing I might look at is Cleveland here on the first 5 at -1.5. But I don't know, expecting a team to be up after first 5 by 2 runs at only +112. For me, I think that our money is much better spent elsewhere.
Agreed. Craig Wood mentioning real quick that the Tigers are playing well, and Joey Wentz is a little bit of a zigzag guy. 5 earned runs in his last start against the New York Mets. Thinking about your Twins over there, apparently, Doc.
Correct.
But 5 earned runs there. It's just not something I want to back really ever. I don't feel ever comfortable backing Joey Wentz in any sort of situation. So pass game there. Let's move on to a great battle in the AL East. First and second place going at it here. Baltimore Orioles, Tampa Bay Rays. I think these are the 2 best records in the American League as well. I would need to double check that, but both these teams are phenomenal. Yes, they are the best 2 records in the American League. 28-7 is a crazy record for a baseball team, and that is your Tampa Bay Rays with Shane McClanahan, the best pitcher. Is he the best pitcher in baseball? I don't know, but he's fucking making a case for it. I had to really think about it there.
Yep.
And it's tough to even call him the best pitcher in the division, too, just because of Garrett Cole and how well he's been pitching. But he gave up a 3-run lead to this very ball club. Actually, a 6-run lead to this ball club. So how can you say that? Really, it's tough to back, or it's tough to fade, I should say, Shane McClanahan here. Undefeated in all of his starts. The question becomes, how do you bet on this Tampa Bay Rays team? And honestly, the only way I've seen so far is interests me is Tampa Bay team total over 4.5, -115. First against righties full season. Third last 2 weeks. I do like the over in this game too, over 8.5. But that over 8.5 seemed a little low, so I go in and looked at the weather. Got strong winds going left to right there, 10-mile-an-hour winds. Apparently at 7, according to Swish, it starts blowing out. And then at 9, it will die down to 7-mile-an-hour winds, kind of going to right field. So honestly, I lean over in this game. Maybe I'll feel like an idiot for not betting it. But Tampa Bay team total as well is another lean. But I have not moved on it yet officially here. And both those plays were looks for me. I just don't think I'm going to get there, unfortunately, because of the weather, and I'm a little bit worried.
Okay. Yeah, for me, so the one that I don't mind at all in this game, and I know that that's kind of sounding like very wishy-washy about like that, like for anything that I was going to play, like pimp it up and be like, yeah, because of this and this, we, put all your units on. That's not really how I do it. For me, I am going to go with Baltimore at +1.5 here at -108 on FanDuel. I'm only doing it for a half unit though. What I'm seeing for this one is first of all, the Orioles offense, the Orioles offense, especially at home, always seems, or has this year at least, seems to find a way. So, in our VIP, we've cashed numerous Baltimore team total overs. And for this one, Gibby on the mound for the Orioles. Yes, he's not McClanahan, but at home, he's not bad. He's not he's no joke. I mean, he's coming off of, yes, it was the Royals, but 6 2/3 with no strikeouts. But then before that, you look back at his past home starts, 1 earned run, 1 earned run, 1 earned run. So I would expect Baltimore to at least keep this close and this to be a relatively low scoring first 5. And then Orioles offense opens it up late. So the 1.5 for being at home and being the second best team in the division, and I think one of the better teams in the American League, that's just too much for me. But like I said, against McClanahan, I really, really can't just say, okay, go full bore here just in case he is absolutely dominant. He's not as dominant away from Tropicana, but so I'll go for a half unit. Baltimore plus 1.5 minus 108.
Very interesting, Doc. I don't know if you got me here. Little switcheroo there.
I saw that.
I know. Apparently, we're a little frozen, I guess, over there. I don't know. I guess my whole system went down back there. But that's why we have two systems of operations. We're flexible. We can make anything work here at Pub Sports Radio. So good times to be had here. But let me do this because I can hear some echo. Beautiful. We're all set now. All right. Danzo, by the way, said this is how you bet Tampa Bay, Jose, win in the first inning. I was going to call it a period. Be bad there. Plus 290, number one in the league, number one in runs scored in the road in the first inning there. Danzo, shout out to you there. By the way, Craig Wood also, Orioles hit McClanahan 241 in 116 plate appearances. Michael Overlina liking the Rays and Yankees first five. RVD liking the Rays first five. Rick J likes Rays first five. Craig Wood also likes a live game over in this. By the way, Jake Burns mentioning a Tampa Bay team total over 2.5. First five there. A little plus money action, hopefully. And a lot of over love as well. Doc, is it the wind affecting this old total? Because I feel like it could be a 9 here.
Probably.
Or is it,
it's probably a combination of both, and the fact that, in his last few starts, now granted it hasn't been against the greatest opponents in the world, but Gibby has only given up one earned run in all of those, and so then you factor that in. McClanahan's been money all year, obviously, and you factor those two things in. And if I'm guessing, I would probably say like what they're expecting here is that if you do have a low scoring first five, then it's probably going to be hard to get to that number late. So, okay. But from a strikeout perspective for this game, I'll go quick on this one. No action either way for me. Gibson is lined very, very appropriately. He's averaging 3.86 strikeouts. We get a 4.5. He's got a high amount of variance in his strikeouts so far this year. Actually, one of the highest deviations that I've calculated for the year. So, what that means is it's a stat that I use and I made to calculate how volatile a pitcher's strikeouts can be. And so he is the highest, the most volatile one on the card today. I think that the 4.5 at plus money with the over, and then heavy, at least it was this morning, heavily juiced under at minus 175. That's very appropriate. McClanahan, I mean, look, McClanahan is one of those guys where he's not quite at DeGrom levels, but I say this on Sharpie's show, where for some pitchers, for most pitchers, there's 3 ways to play a K prop: over, under, or pass. For guys like McClanahan, there's usually only 2 ways, which are over or pass. And so if you're playing a strikeout prop on McClanahan tonight, I'm not really sure that I would be comfortable taking an under here. It's just too much for me. So for me, it's over or nothing.
Fair. All right, move on from this game. I've got the over written down, got Tampa Bay team total written down, but it seems like it's going to be a pass game for me, honestly. And I'm a little worried about that. I guess I have to watch and see. A lot of good series, though. A lot of good divisional matchups to watch and some good shit to watch this week. So passing on this game, we'll see how it shakes out throughout the week. Let's talk Colorado Rockies, Pittsburgh Pirates here. The Pirates, everyone's beloved Pirates, are quietly, sneakily falling back to earth, unfortunately for them. They are on now a 7-game losing streak, a half game up on the Milwaukee Brewers. And, it feels kind of easy to say that they're back at home. They're playing a shitty Rockies team. They should get the dub with Mitch Keller on the bump. They hit lefties okay, 115, weighted runs created plus. That's 6th in the league. Last 2 weeks, 107, so only 16th, but it's Kyle Freeland at the end of the day who's pitched okay this year. And ultimately, if this is a game that I'm betting again, gun to head, I'm taking the Rockies. We all love the Pirates, but, they were not supposed to be like a first-place ball club, and we can all agree on that. They've started to hit the shits a little bit. 7 games straight with losses. What can you say about that? So I'm not going to try to catch the falling knife with the Pirates, especially not with a minus 175. So nothing here.
All right. Yeah, I do have one for this one, and it is on the over 8.5 at -102 on FanDuel. For me, I see this one, and yeah, Freeland has been decent at home. So his last three home starts, 0 earned runs allowed, 3 earned runs allowed. And he had a really, really ugly start against these same Pirates, and then 2. But you look on the road for and he just has not been the same pitcher on the road or even against a quality opponent here. So he did pitch 5 scoreless innings last start, but that was against a Brewers team that had been struggling. So and for me, for Keller, I have said this. We were on Keller for my tout prop not too long ago, and I've said he is an underrated gem. This man has added pitches to his mix. He's upped his velo. He has come a long, long way in basically being Garrett Cole version 2.0, which is what they thought that they had when they drafted him. So, but that said, the Rockies are hitting a lot better lately, and I actually cashed a couple under K props with the Rockies against the Mets, not striking out at all, actually. So for those that were wondering, I am completely off of Keller's K prop tonight. I couldn't get there. Only a 22.3% K percentage versus right-handed pitchers the last 15 days, and lifetime against the projected lineup for the Rockies, 8 strikeouts in 55 plate appearances. Not the most telling stat, but because it's not a huge sample size, but it's big enough. So, for me, I was really, really hoping, even though I knew we wouldn't get it, I would really hope that we would get a 4.5 lightly juiced for a Keller K prop. Those days are probably gone after what he's done his first few starts. You're probably going to see 5.5 juiced, or against really shitty K opponents like the Royals or the A's or the Tigers, you're probably going to see 6.5s. So, but for me, with the way the Rockies offense have been playing, with the way Pittsburgh's been at home, for me, I will go with the over here. So over 8.5 -102 FanDuel.
Okay, beautiful. Over there for Doc. By the way, I get to see my lovely face back here. Just look at this, Doc. How beautiful.
I like that. Yeah, there we go.
It's like an art piece right there.
It's an artistic pose.
Yeah, it's great. I'm in deep thought.
Frame that. Yeah, you got to frame that.
I should. Oakland A's, New York Yankees next time up. JP Sears versus Nestor Cortez. And I always love when these teams face off. It's just because it's like the Yankees are, of course, the talk of the town, like the number one ball club everyone wants to be on. They've got the nicest shit. And then the Oakland A's come into town with a fucking slop jalop, nothing nice for them. And they get to go to New York and enjoy at least 3 days of the good life there in New York with their home clubhouse, or away clubhouse, I should say. So shout out to the Yankees, I guess, for having nice shit. But I mean, here's the thing. I was kind of looking forward to betting the Oakland A's team total in this game just because I know they hit lefties pretty decently. But like Craig Wood's mentioning, I think Nasty Nestor is due for something to come back here. He gave up 7 earned runs against the Texas Rangers in a crushing 2-15 loss. Honestly, if I'm betting this game, I think I'm leaning towards the under. First 5, maybe full game, because the Yankees still don't have Judge. He comes back tomorrow. So maybe one more no Judge Yankee Stadium, Yankees lineup under here. But otherwise, I've got nothing right now. I'll say Oakland 13th against lefties in the last 2 weeks, 110 weighted runs created plus is just surprising. And shout out to them. It's pretty good.
Yeah, for me, this is a pass one for me. If you're hoping that Nestor will have a comeback, I hope you're right. But when I look at his stats, especially over his last few starts, velo is down on his top 3 pitches and actually down on his sweeper considerably. So 77.1 last year, 75.8 this year. You have 86.9 on the cutter last year to 86.2 this year, 91.8 on the 4-seam to 91.2. That might not seem significant, but in the course of an overall major league at bat, that subtle difference can mean the world, especially when you look at last year, hitters were hitting his 4-seam at 157. This year, 259. with a 483 slugging compared to 240 last year. The other 3 pitches match that up very, very well. He's not seeing the same velo that he is. And if you look at a sampling of pitchers whose velo is down in that realm, and you compare it to, say, strikeouts, earned runs, etc., the numbers do not match up. They are not good. You think about a guy like Max Scherzer, who is experiencing that. You think about a guy like John Gray, who is experiencing that. You think about a guy, we cashed this in VIP the other day, Tyler McGill. Hasn't damn near struck anybody out and got pounded by the same Rockies team we just talked about. So I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Nestor Cortez, and I'm really not. I just look at pitchers who lose zip on their fastball and who don't gain anything else, or like, for example, so like if he had a 26-inch break on his sweeper last year and now it's 46 or 38 or something like that, that can account for the difference, because sometimes you have to change your mechanics to throw it. But when you don't really change anything like that, nothing else has really changed at all, and the velo is down, it's hard for me to back you. That said, I mean, we all know it. I won't belabor it. The A's are a poverty franchise. They're counting the days till they move to Vegas. We know that. So for this one, I'm just leaving this one way alone. And I'm probably not even going to watch 1 second of this game.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. 2 last place clubs. Why would I want to watch this game? Kansas City Royals, White Sox here. Dylan Cease versus Zach Greinke. A great pitching matchup, on paper, I guess. Dylan Cease last few starts have just not been good at all, huh? And I don't know if it's a reflection of him, I'll be honest. The first place Minnesota Twins got him for 4 earned runs, a team that he usually dominates, but maybe the Twins finally took that personally and got to him there. And then a back-to-back against Tampa Bay, and we all know how Tampa Bay is hitting. So do I expect him to bounce back and pitch well here? Yeah. If this was the flipped other way and Kansas City was on the road and Zach Greinke was going into the White Sox Stadium to pitch, I'd feel a lot better about betting Dylan Cease here. But Zach Greinke at home is just good. Zach Greinke at Kauffman is good, and I don't want to back the White Sox bats. I know they've been picking it up a little bit. They've been a little hot, I guess. They're not like a lifeless corpse walking down the street now. They're 5-5 in their last 5. So, yeah, I still think this White Sox team's horrible. I can't wait for them to trade all their pieces at the deadline, but I lean that way, honestly. Maybe I would take a -1 here just to lessen the juice. It was a -135 last night, and now -130 does concern me too. So, yeah, I guess if I'm taking a side, I'm taking the White Sox -1, but I don't feel great about it, as you guys can tell.
All right. So we just talked about it for Nestor, and you look at some comparisons for velo for Cease, and we talked about how he hasn't been the same pitcher this year. Yeah, 4-seamer last year averaged 96.8. It's only at 95.5, which is still good, but for what it does is you miss the opportunity to blow it by a certain sect of hitters. So like the average, below average guys, 95.5 can still get it done. But last year he could crank that thing up to 98 and just didn't matter who it was. Just be like, here's strike 3 coming down the middle. Like, you're not going to hit it. You're done. The slider too, 87.4 last year, down to 86 this year. Spin is down from 28.33 to 28.04. So Cease is just not the same pitcher this year. He still is striking guys out, but not at the rate that we have seen. That said, the Kansas City Royals, we talked about poverty franchises. They have been this way for strikeouts. So 24.3% K percentage last 15 days against right-handed pitchers and 408 plate appearances. Lifetime against Cease, 17 Ks and 57 plate appearances for almost a 30% strikeout rate. The thing that we get here, and for those of you that watch Sharpie's show, you're probably going to hear this as a repeat because he and I talk about this literally every morning. We're like kids at Christmas going through toys. We're like ripping through the K-prop card. What you have here is we finally get Dylan Cease lined appropriately. They've been putting him at 7.5, 6.5, 6.5 juiced, and just in the hopes that velo and some of that spin will come back. Now, when I say his velo and his spin have been down, what I mean is they're down for him. those numbers for most major league pitchers would be really damn good. So instead of getting 8 to 9 strikeouts a game, you get 5 to 7, depending on who your opponent is. Well, as it turns out, we do have an opponent that strikes out an metric ton tonight against right-handed pitchers. Cease as well on the road, 31.3% K percentage, only 4.5% walk percentage, which has actually been one of his Achilles. That's actually what's forced him out of games before he can strike guys out, is that by the 5th inning, he racks his pitch count up to like damn near 100 and throws himself out of the game. So Cease is lined appropriately. He is against a team that strikes out a lot, and he's against a team that he has absolutely dominated. And so, therefore, I'll be posting it soon. Dylan Cease will be my tout K-prop for the day, over 5.5 strikeouts. And like I said, you may have heard this earlier today, but it is unlikely that we will see Dylan Cease getting a 5.5 with it opened at reasonable juice. It's up to -145 right now. If you don't want to pay that, I don't blame you. You can just play one straight unit on it and then just take a reduced payout. But for tonight, to me, one of the better values on the board is Dylan Cease because he's finally lined appropriately. The problem is that when the books are calculating all of their averages and everything, then you're lining him appropriately against a team that he has just absolutely dominated. So Dylan Cease would be the tout K prop for the day, over 5.5. If you see 6.5 anywhere, don't play it. I personally think that he gets 6 exactly.
Yeah, that's dicey. That's dicey. 5.5 Ks. I've got it at -160.
Ooh, I would, if you're going to play it, just play one unit of total bet and do not play the juice on that.
Yeah, that sucks. Okay. Well, my card's sparse here, Doc, so I'm going to have to play that with you today.
Load it up.
You might have to, because I only have one play that I've really felt comfortable about today, and we'll get into it here soon. But not bad there, Doc. Not bad. I know you and Sharpie both love some bullets.
Hey, I am not in any way, shape, or form ready to say that Dylan Cease is back. When I see him hit 97 on the gun on a regular basis, then I will say Dylan Cease is back. What we have here is we have the right situation, the right opponent, and the right line. When those three things align, it usually equals money from a K-prop perspective.
Beautiful. Well put there, Doc. The tout K-prop of the day, Dylan Cease over 5 strikeouts. Shout out to you there, Doc. Let's talk Dodgers versus the Brewers here. Big game last night for the Dodgers. They get the series dub against the Padres. Late comeback. Shout out to Mucky Betts. Now they've got Tony Gonsolin on the bump. 4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs last time against the Phillies. I'll be honest, I've never been a Tony Gonsolin fan. I'll say it every time he comes up to pitch. I'm never really convinced by it. He's still coming back. I don't want to back him yet. And I also don't want to back the Brewers because the Brewers have just been not a fun ball club to watch or bet on. Last 2 weeks, 25th, 85 weighted runs created plus, while their full season's 104, 12, slumping. Freddie Peralta's good, but I don't think he'll be good enough for the Padres today, for the Dodgers here today. So the real question is, why am I not on the Dodgers, I guess, Doc? That's my real question. I've thought, sitting here thinking about it. Second full season against righties, 6 last 2 weeks. Are you on the Dodgers anyway, Doc?
Way off this game. Nothing for me. I have been Freddie Peralta. I have been going back and forth about whether or not that he should make my K-prop card. He's not going to. So I went back and forth all day, and I didn't feel strong enough about it. And one thing I've learned in this is never force action. So, and the look that I was looking at was on his under 6.5. Given the Dodgers lineup makeup, especially with the 6 lefties, 3 righties, just a lot of the numbers just did not jibe. But it's hard for me to back a Peralta under at home. So the other part that I looked at was Peralta has an 87th percentile for the season, an 87th percentile whiff rating. Dodgers they're right in the middle for swinging strike rate. So for in the last 15 days. So those two things, just like this one is so close, and it's lined very, very appropriately. And so what I normally do, just be transparent, when I see a game that is lined appropriately and I don't have a strong feel for it one way or the other, I almost always pass. I like to attack lines that aren't correct, or I like to attack pitchers that and teams with like swing metrics that I don't believe that the books had calculated into their metrics and numbers. And Peralta for me is neither, so nothing from me.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I can see the Dodgers or the Padres. I keep saying the fucking Padres. The Brewers love in the chat after a long flight from Milwaukee from San Diego.
San Diego.
There we go. I can see it all, but I guess I'll just end up passing on this game too.
Yeah,
so,
nothing from me.
Yeah, nothing from me there. Let's move on to a next game that had a gigantic line movement in it as well. Let's talk Cubs Cardinals. One of the better rivalries in baseball, probably the third best if I had to say behind Brewers. I just said the Brewers instead of the Padres again. Son of a bitch. Dodgers, Padres, and Yankees, Red Sox. This is probably third for me. Best rivalries. Minus 150 last night for the Chicago Cubs. Now all the way down to minus 130, plus 108 for the Cardinals. It's obviously for me, Cardinals are past right now. The Cubs against righties last 2 weeks, 88 weighted runs created plus, slowing down. Full season's only ninth now. They're slowing down a little bit. I think we've gotten to the point where it's been, I don't know, like 2-3 days now of just shitting all over the Cardinals because of how bad they've been and how they're in last place right now. I think they'll start being a bet on team here soon, and it definitely starts with the starting pitching. And I think Miles Mikolas has been, I don't want to call him the best pitcher on the staff recently, but he's been just serviceable. 5 2/3, 8 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. 6 1/3, 4 hits, no earned runs. 5 1/3, 3 hits, or 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs there. Historically, really good against the Cubs too. It's Cardinals are pass for me here, and I could have got this at my plus 126, and that's really the reason why I don't want to bet this game at this point. Like I feel like I'd be jumping in really late. I'd probably take Cardinals money line or first 5 money line if I'm taking it, but I'm not sure yet. I'll look at the comments, look at what they have to say and what you have to say here, Doc, because it's a weird game.
Nothing for me. On the surface, the total of 7 looks too low, but then when you read into it, you do see that cloudy skies, cool temperatures, possibility, 51% chance of rain, and also 14-mile-an-hour wind blowing in from left field. So that I'm sure factored into the total here, and with a potentially wet and shitty, it just seems like just a shitty night to be out at the ballpark. To be honest with you, you look at the hourly forecast and you got high 40s and low 50s. Chances of just light drizzling rain here and there, just that annoyance rain. And then 14 to 15 mile an hour winds blowing in from left field. This game just seems like it has the potential to be gross, and so therefore I want no part of it.
Yeah, and what's funny too is that like RotoWire has this game in red because it's raining and such, 50% chance of rain, and it's got 14 mile an hour wind blowing in there, and then of course on Swish Analytics, the wind is blowing out 12 mile an hour wind. So and more factors that really kept me off the game as well. The rain, the wind. If I didn't stay off at the Blue Jays yesterday because of the wind, I would have had, or the rain, I should say, I would have had a winning day. But, I think it's just a better idea to leave these rain games alone in the longer term.
Yep.
I understand maybe I'll lose some winners, but, I'll just pass for right now. And, and by the way, the stat that everyone loves mentioning with the Cardinals, and I like it too, honestly. It's been a profitable, obviously. 0-11 during the first game of a series this year. I think they break that today, but we'll see. Let's move on here. I am not interested in that game. Let's talk Houston Astros versus the LA Angels here. And this was, in fact, the play that I have written down. Many people know that I'm a big fan of Patrick Sandoval. I haven't backed him in a couple of starts. Pitched well against the Cardinals, and he's a lefty, so that's really impressive to me, even if the Cardinals are in last place right now. I took Angels first 5 here. I just think that they can come out here and get the dub, at least in the first 5 innings. Hunter Brown is a solid pitcher, obviously, coming off of a 4 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs appearance against the Giants here. Has pitched well in almost every start, but Angels bats have been hot recently. 122 weighted runs created plus against righties. That's fourth in the league in the last 2 weeks. Full season, they're 13th, so they're obviously feeling themselves a little bit. And I think Patrick Sandoval can get the job done here. I should have, and I need to look at Patrick Sandoval's historical record against the Astros real quick. I'm sure it's not the best because of how good the freaking Astros are all the time. So I'll look that up right now. While I do that, Doc, what do you think about this game?
Yeah. So I have it in case just.
Oh, I just saw it now.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good.
Not good.
0-4, 8.03 ERA, 1.824 WHIP. And yeah, it's not the prettiest thing in the world. Now it has been better the last few years. So, but Hunter Brown has looked a little shaky after a great start. He his first strike percentage opened for the year near 70. It's now down to 60.7. Really just missing in early parts of at bats. And you factor in that overall for the season. So last year, you thought of the Angels as like these unbelievable strikeout kings, which they were, and you could bet on them like basically with any pitcher for an over for K-prop. In the last 15 days, they're 13th in swing percentage outside the zone at 27.4%. The other thing that they're doing a phenomenal job. In fact, best in baseball last 15 days, a 24.6% CSW. And for those that don't know, CSW stands for called strikes plus whiffs. So it's a total pitches that get thrown to a team that they either have a called strike or a whiff. So foul balls are factored out. And it factors. So what it really measures is teams that either take bad swings and miss or take obvious strikes and don't have good plate discipline. So the Angels, plate discipline wise, last 15 days, number 1 in MLB. So what I do like in this one is the Angels' first 5 team total, and I lost what it was. But the Angels' first 5 team total was the one that I was really, really eyeing here for this one. And I'll have to come back to what that is because, like I said, I shut my window down and I lost it.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in that too now, Doc. I do think that the Angels bats can take advantage of the Astros, but I'm not going to bet that first 5 out. First 5 now after seeing those career stats and
well,
you can justify it, but
yeah, and that was why I limited it to the Angels team total because I'm like, oof. I'm like, I know it's been better the last year or two, like the last 3 starts have been better, but I'm like, oof, like those are some ugly career numbers against a team like the Astros.
Yeah, and again, we obviously know the Astros lineup is not what it used to be as well. They've lost some key pieces, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Angels team total here again. Like Nutflush Allen is saying here, I think we can go back to the well because we cashed on Angels team total recently. I think it was yesterday. So yeah, I like them here. I like their bats. I think they can get to a young pitcher. Team total over 4 at -105 for me right now.
And I'm gonna go with it's at plus money. It's plus 125, I believe. First 5 team total over 2.5. I think that their patience can really frustrate a younger pitcher like Hunter Brown. Like I said, his first strike percentage has sunk like a rock. His over his last few starts, he has actually won. Actually, 6 of his 7 starts this year, he's walked multiple batters. The only time he did not was a game at home against Texas. And last time against San Francisco, who walk at an abysmally low rate, he walked 5 and didn't even make it out of the 4th inning. So, this is a kid with dynamite stuff. However, with a pitcher like Brown, he throws a slider, curve, and split finger for in addition to a 4-seam, but he throws them all about, or the first 3 about equally. So when you throw breaking balls like that, 2/3 of the time, essentially, and you can't hit your spots as he hasn't been, if you're up against a patient team, it can lead to a lot of walks, a lot of extra runs, so on and so forth. So that's why I limited mine to Angels first 5 team total over 2.5 plus 125.
Beautiful. I like the look. And by the way, I wrote this line down last night. -115 for the Astros, all the way up to -130 is concerning. It's concerning to say the least. But we'll see how it goes. I'm on team total there. Shout out to you, Doc. Let's go through the chat real quick. Shout out to Jacqueline joining us, Danzo, Christopher Commentini, Rick J, Jose Baranja. Any good nerfies yet? I don't necessarily hate this nerfie, but none that has jumped out of us so far. Maybe if the wind is cooperating, you can do the one in St. Louis and Chicago, maybe that one. But I don't think it's standing out there.
I have to say, I'm the wrong person to ask about nerfie and Yurfie because for all the profiting on like strikeout props and other things that I've done with baseball, I've lost so much effing money on nerfies. They're an extremely volatile bet. So just personal opinion, you'll never hear me talk one way or the other about a nerfie. It's not because like I'm like trying to like, shit on people that play them. It's just for me, it's just something that I stay off. Part of it too is because I'm such a calculated risk taker, almost to a fault sometimes. Like there's so many plays over the course of a season where I literally like look at my screen and I'm like, why can't I just be a fucking degenerate just one time? Like, why can't I just be a degenerate and be like 7 units? I had the feeling about this, but the math in me, person in me can't do that. So it's something that I admittedly as a capper am working on about, when to go away from the math. But nerfies to me are very, very volatile. So I unfortunately would never have any of those for you.
Yeah, I don't bet them anymore, but they're fun to bet. I will say
they are fun to bet. Yes, they are fun to bet.
I do enjoy the immediacy of it as well. It also is heartbreaking too. So shout out to nerfies. LG, Danzo, Jojo, Rabbit, Johnny Guns, all you guys, we appreciate you guys. As always, like we always mention, hit the like button while you guys are here. It helps the channel and all that good stuff. Let's go on to our last 3 games on the card here. And really, this is the last. I think this is the last interesting game on the card. We can talk Texas, Seattle is interesting as well. But Miami Marlins, they're not good. Braxton Garrett got absolutely crushed last time out in a spot where we thought it was a good spot for him, a first 5 under look. I think it was in that. Gave up 11 earned runs, I believe it was. Doc, call me crazy. I think he bounces back here, and I think we can get another first 5 under here because I think obviously we know Gallen's going to shut down the Miami Marlins here. How is Braxton Garrett going to bounce back from 4 1/3, 14 hits, 11 earned runs?
He got smacked. He sure did.
I mean, he's got to pitch better than that. So first 5 under is absolutely first 5 under is absolutely a lean here for me, Doc. I don't know if I'm going to get there officially. It's under 4.5 minus 120 right now for me, Doc. What do you think?
Nothing official from me. I have seen people, and again, if you listen to Sharpie's show, you probably heard the same discussion too about Gallen, like why is it only at a 6.5 and et cetera, et cetera. You have to remember Mr. Luis Arraez. So some pitchers have tax for juice or for strikeouts added to their K props because of who they are on the over. So Ohtani and Cole would be the main 2 for that. And sometimes teams, especially against unfamiliar opponents, can get a reduced price on a strikeout prop because Arraez, especially against right-handed pitchers, because literally Arraez doesn't strike out against righties, like practically ever. So you think about it, you have to get 7 strikeouts, but you have to get it against 8 guys instead of 9, which means it's likely you're going to have to strike out somebody more than once. Now, Gallen can certainly do that. His home strikeout percentage this year is absolutely a 49.3. Are you kidding me? Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Half his batter.
49.3 K percentage at home and a 1.4 walk percentage. That's not even like Cy Young numbers. That's like Hall of Fame. I mean, and I'm not saying Zach Gallen's a Hall of Fame pitcher. He's having
not yet,
but he's having a season for the ages, man. His locations are phenomenal. He's getting a first pitch strike 68.5% of the time, which is among the best for regular starters. Lefties, righties, it doesn't matter. 39.5% against lefties, 31.4% against righties. If you are going to play a Gallen prop, the only way to play it is over. You cannot play an under prop on Zach Gallen at home. You for sure can't play it against the Marlins because while Arraez doesn't strike out, the rest of them strike out a shit ton.
Yeah, that's going to be the Marlins the whole year too, huh? And hopefully not Not next year, but it seems like it's going to be just the curse of the Marlins, just to have great pitching and no one that can bring any run support to them. So I like the first 5 under here. Shout out to our friends at
I
Bet
won't talk you out of it.
minus 115 for the first 5 under instead of the minus 120. So I'm going to lean that way. I'm going to make that official as well. Under 4.5 there, first 5. So
I like it.
let's talk about our last 2 games, and 2 games that I was just not interested in, even a little bit, Doc. Rangers, Seattle Mariners. I understand that this is a good division matchup, especially because the Mariners need to win these games to get back into it. But I really had nothing to do here. Minus 160 last night, up to minus 174. So the market's like in Seattle as well here. Their numbers hitting are okay. 101 full season against righties. Last 2 weeks, 102. And the Rangers are actually hitting balls too. So I honestly thought maybe I lean over here, but I don't want to bet an over with Logan Gilbert on the bump. I think he's just too good. So an easy pass game here for me, unfortunately.
Pass for me too. From a strikeout perspective, I will freely admit I have not made a final decision on Logan Gilbert yet. His strikeouts have gone up considerably because he's added. Well, the main reason is because he's added a pitch to his repertoire. So I talked about velo being down when you don't add a pitch. So Logan's velo is down on his four seam. However, his velo is up on his other pitches, and he added a nasty split finger. You do that, especially when teams have years upon years of scouting for you throwing just the quote, I call it the traditional mix, four seam, slider, curve, change. And now you take one of those out and you throw a split finger in there and you throw it well. Woo! That's why his strikeouts have been racking up. Now, is this the day that the bottom drops off on that? I don't think so. I just need to see a lineup for the Rangers for this one. And for the Rangers, speaking of which, and this is for those of you that play strikeout props, you probably know what I'm talking about. Why is John Gray at a 5.5? I realize that the Mariners strikeout percentage is hideous. 28.6% against righties over the last 15 days, one of the worst in baseball, 419 plate appearances. However, the man has not hit this number since opening or since his first start of the year. He hasn't actually even had more than, I think, 3 or 4 strikeouts. And now we get for a while, we had a 5.5 juiced. I am assuming that part of it, and on the road too, part of it has to do with how bad Seattle is at striking out. But man, that's a huge jump for a guy only averaging 3.17 strikeouts per game to jump him and say he's going to get 6 on the road against a divisional opponent who have seen him almost 100 times so far. Oh man, that to me just screams trap both ways, and I want zero part of it. It is incredibly difficult for me to take an under strikeout prop right now on the Mariners, because not only is their strikeout percentage bad, you look at all of the advanced metrics, like every single one, and it is terrible. 24th in that CSW metric that I talked about earlier on the show. And so they're not being patient. 28th in total contact. I believe they're 27th or 28th in swinging strike rate. I could go on, but you get the point. They're undisciplined as hell. And so to Craig Wood's point, yes, I would agree his velo is down. It's still down. And he's walking batters. However, it's hard to walk somebody when you have a team that swings so freely. So in the end, there are just so many conflicting factors for this one. I just want nothing to do with it on the Rangers side for Gray. I don't even want to mess with it.
Agreed there, Doc. Agreed. I can't get there either. Last game on the card, Nationals, Giants, another snooze fest. Disclafani I like, not at minus 220. Jake Irvin I don't like. I don't want to bet the Nationals on the road unless, maybe it's Josiah Gray, my guy. But pass game here. Shout out to Nufflush Allen, who's in the chat. He'd know a thing or two about his Giants. So listen to him on those matters, and I'm going to refresh. See if we got any confirmed lineups. No. So, yeah,
no,
not yet. Game. I really just had no interest in capping this game with Jake Irvin. I knew that the Giants would be gigantic favorites, and I respect Disclafani enough to not fade him here. So I passed.
Nope, I'm not touching this one. Too much of a wild card with Irvin. Disclafani has been average These are two, one bad and one very average to below average team. And so on a Monday night after a travel day, there's just so many things in here that just scream like stay far away from this one and spend your money elsewhere.
Agreed. I'm glad that we both see eye to eye there.
Nothing to do with this one.
We don't have to talk about this game even
Nope.
a little bit.
No need.
Let's recap our plays here, Doc. It's a super short card for me. And let's bring back my evil twin here with a great bring back my evil twin. Doc. And I need to mute myself too. Hold on. Let's give it a little mute here. There we go. Perfect. So I can see myself. I just want to admire myself a little bit. Doc, I've got two official plays here. Miami, Arizona, first 5 under 4.5, minus 115. And I've got LA Angels team total over 4, minus 105. Went back to the well. Shout to Nuffle Allen. Let's get that cash, my guy. My man, Johnny Gunn's asking about a Nationals first 5 team total under there. I think the Nationals are decent, but
I don't know. I mean, honestly, for that game, like I'm kind of just like, I don't know, maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe. For Johnny Gunn's, like for my personal opinion, it's not even that I think that it's a bad play. It's just one that just like it just doesn't. It just has no pop for me. It just doesn't pop as like ooh, like that one could have value. That whole game just seems like it's going to be ugly as shit. So,
yeah, and I don't want to put my money on it, and I don't want you to put your money on it, Johnny.
Yeah.
So, Doc, what are your plays today? We know one. We know you're on that Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease would be the tout prop. I'll post that separately, but I'll tweet these out shortly after the show too. I'm on Baltimore plus 1.5 for the game, minus 104 for only a half unit though. Only a half unit, not a full. Colorado, Pittsburgh over 8.5 at minus 102, and Angels first 5 team total over 2.5 at plus 125.
Beautiful. Doc, I appreciate you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's lovely to talk about you. We'll talk about your lovely foundation as we
Thank
do
you.
always on our Monday afternoon, evening shows, I guess, whatever time of the day this is for you guys. But again, we'll just reemphasize, we shout out to you guys, Stevie, Craig Wood, Dominic, Johnny Guns, Jake Burns, Craig Wood, Rick J, Professor Chris, Jay Rush, Jojo Rabbit, Jimmy Gomez. Thanks for watching, my man. Danzo, Jacqueline, all you guys, Bo Jackson in here as well. We appreciate you guys. Hit the like button. Like we always say, hit the like button. If you're not a member of the Pub Club, the Pub Members Club, join today, $4.99 a month, support the pub so we can keep this lovely content rolling for you each and every month. Doc, please tell us about your lovely foundation. It's always nice talking about it. Gives me the warm and fuzzies. And we always want to hear, of course, about the golf tournament. Where are the updates?
Thank you. So first of all, thank you for having me on. Thank you for giving me this platform. For those that don't know, so the foundation spawned from, so my mother passed away in 2019 from complications due to ALS, which she fought for about 1.5 years. So ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And so we started a foundation in her name for a couple reasons. Number one would be to keep her memory alive with the Michelle Gargaro Foundation. And then number two would be the money that we raise. It's a total nonprofit. We donate that to families who have somebody who has ALS and for them to pay for a caretaker. So for those that don't know, what ALS does is it kills the motor neurons in your body. So like motor neurons are the things that accept things, signals from the brain. So like my motor neurons is telling me right now to wave to everybody, touch my hat, go like this, so talk, so on and so forth. What ends up happening over time is those motor neurons die. So when the brain sends a signal, it's not received. And so you lose the ability to move, to speak, to eat, and eventually to breathe. And so it's a horrible disease with no cure, with no viable treatment to make symptoms better. So people who are stricken with ALS, especially in the advanced stages, need a caretaker essentially 24/7. And hey, first of all, those are expensive. Second of all, other people who like the family members who ends up being the caretaker, they also have lives and they can't be 24/7 nurses. Yes. You also have to factor in that they need a lot of medical equipment. So like oxygen tanks, breathing tubes, things like that. And those have to be cleaned, those have to be monitored, those so on and so forth. So our golf tournament, we have a Memorial Golf Tournament on June the 10th, and that is on a Friday. And so it's here in Minnesota where I live. And last year we raised just under $7,500, and we donated that. We split it in half and donated to 2 families to pay for a caretaker. And we're going bigger this year. So we're going to have more teams. We have more games. We have more prizes. We have all kinds of cool stuff that we got planned for people. Obviously not asking people to travel to Minnesota to play in the tournament, but just any publication of, or even just supporting things just ALS wise, or sharing news, because it's a disease that you have a 1 in 100,000 chance of getting. So it's a very rare disease and is not very well known or understood. So we also want to raise more money so we can donate it for research on ALS drugs. So anyways, appreciate the opportunity to promote this. And like I said, the biggest thing that we need right now is just awareness. So share, visit, anything you can do would be greatly appreciated. And like I said, just want to keep mom's name alive and make it so nobody has to go through what we went through about four years ago.
Agreed there, Doc. I thought of you this weekend because my bicep was like spasming and I was freaking out. And I was like, what is going on with me? Am I going to die?
Yep.
And it was one of those things. So, it can affect all of us.
You don't know
that it's super rare, but it can affect all of us. So we need
there was no familial history of ALS. Nobody in our family tracing back. We went back as far as history was recorded for the family on both sides, and there was no history at all. And sometimes it just happens. Cruel hand of fate. Yep.
Yeah. Just say,
it's a terrible disease. So anyways, thank you for the platform.
No problem, Doc. As always, I love talking ball with you. Love talking about all these stuff with you. So I appreciate you coming on, my guy. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, we'll be back here for another edition of Say Hey Plays Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Bobana will be joining us as always. Till then, guys, say hey to us on social media at SpinDoc Sports, at Jose Bouquett, and we'll see you guys next time.